turns out when you do that and you start changing your brainwaves slow down into alpha and theta, you're suppressing the memory bank of the known self. When you can literally regulate and change brainwaves, now you're in the operating system. Oh my God, this is something I haven't felt since I was 9 years old or 6 years old. And it's this familiar feeling, and their heart blows wide open. If our thoughts could make us sick, is it possible that my thoughts could make me well? Well, if that's the case, then I'm going to have to manage my attention, and I'm going to have to manage my energy, because where I place my attention is where I place my energy. And I'm going to have to inhibit that thought that has conditioned the body to subconsciously be the mind of that emotion. And the body's so objective that it does not know the difference between the real life experience that's creating that emotion and the emotion that person is fabricating by thought alone. To the body, it's exactly the same. If we knew that the best way to create a future is to change your state of being, then you would have to manage your attention on that thought and have to say, is this thought actually the truth? And how long am I going to keep thinking this thought? And firing and wiring that circuit in the brain. So there's biology, because now it's an automatic program. It's a belief. Wow. A belief is just a thought you keep thinking over and over again until it becomes subconscious or unconscious. So to change then is become so conscious of that unconscious thought, that unconscious belief, that it wouldn't slip by your awareness. One of the most startling things for the research team was our community's ability to get to that point where they're nobody, no one, no thing, nowhere, no time. Just give me a second. I know how to do this. They've practiced it enough times. The creative moment is when you get beyond yourself, when you dissociate from everything known in your material world. Turns out when you do that and you start changing your brainwaves slow down into alpha and theta, you're suppressing the memory bank of the known self that keeps you plugged into three-dimensional reality. When you quiet down this mechanism, now all of a sudden you start connecting to that field. And when you can stay conscious in those subconscious realms, when you can literally regulate and change brainwaves, now you're in the operating system where you can make those significant changes. So we now know that when people apply the formula and they do that properly, now they're walking through that door where they're ready to create from. In other words, you can't create from the known. You can't create with your body. That's matter trying to change matter. And you can do it. It's just going to take a long time. But when you create from the field instead of from matter, there's a whole different set of dynamics that takes place. When the brain starts functioning in a level of order or coherence, more neurons are recruited and bigger communities, and that kind of holism that's created is so important. The other thing we realize is that when people really heal their heart, they heal their mind. I have no doubt about that. You cannot do one without the other. And when there's enough energy in the heart, we've seen this. We've got the technology to see that when the heart starts working, when people start doing it properly, there's this low frequency in the heart that starts to rise. It's only indigenous to the heart because they have their attention on it. Where you place your attention is where you place your energy. So they're filling the gas tank up, and when it gets to a certain point, here comes the parasympathetic nervous system saying, get out of the stress response, get relaxed. Then all of a sudden you think that would be over, but it's not. Then the parasympathetic nervous system drops down and the sympathetic nervous system comes up. And when the sympathetic nervous comes up, now the person's relaxed and awake. Like they're really relaxed in their heart, and they're really awake in their brain. That state is so much better than being stressed out and unconscious and in a program, right? So turns out when you get to that state, when the heart starts informing the brain, it resets the baseline for the trauma that's stored in the brain, in the amygdala. It's informing the brain that the event is over. Because the emotion that they're feeling is dragging the body out of the past, right to the present. And when they feel that glory, that really rich feeling where it's like, oh my God, this is something I haven't felt since I was 9 years old or 6 years old. And it's this familiar feeling in their heart. The words many people use, blows wide open. When they look back at their past, their trauma, the loss, the betrayal, the abuse, sexually, physically, emotionally, and they look back at their betrayers and their abusers and they have nothing but compassion. They see the whole thing. They're seeing their past from a greater level of consciousness, right? So now it resets the baseline and the event is over. And there goes the endometriosis. There goes the suicidal tendencies. There goes the rashes. There goes the gum disease, whatever it is. Just the body gets an upgrade. It's no longer believing it's in the same trauma 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, because they're living unconsciously or subconsciously in that emotional program, right? Most beliefs are created from past experiences, right? So children, when they're in their early ages, their brainwaves are very slow. Like their brainwaves are in alpha when they're like 7 to 12. They're in theta when they're like 2 to 6 years old, and they're in delta like when they're newborn to 2 years old. And so these brainwave states are states that were really suggestible to information. We surrender to it as if it's the truth without analyzing it, because there's no analytical facilities yet. Right. The analytical mind starts around 12 or so, 7 to 12, and that analytical mind is actually what creates a barrier between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. So that's really, really important, because if you heard money is the root of all evil, money is bad, only certain people are allowed to make money, you have to work hard to make money, this is how you got to do it, and that becomes the foundation subconsciously. Let's recording an audio file. You just keep recording that audio file, it becomes a subconscious program. Person's personality is literally based on the past, but they don't know that because they're doing it over and over again, and it becomes a subconscious program. So now, if it requires a coherent brain and a coherent heart, then we have to train people how to self-regulate. So we've done thousands and thousands of measurements. We've partnered with the HeartMath Institute to teach people how to create and sustain heart coherence. It just requires getting still, closing your eyes, putting your attention on your heart, changing your breath so that you move into the present moment. And when you slow your breathing down, you slow your brainwaves down. When you slow your brainwaves down, now you're accessing your autonomic nervous system. So then you train a person how to open their heart and feel an elevated emotion. And it takes a little practice. And just like a flower that takes time to bloom, it takes a little bit of time. But if you work on trading the resentment, the frustration, or the impatience for gratitude, appreciation, and thankfulness, and you keep at it, there'll come a moment where that system switches on, and now you're feeling grateful for no reason at all. Now, that's not a bad thing, because gratitude, the emotional signature of gratitude, means something's happening to you, something has happened to you, you're receiving something, or you just received something. So your body then, when you're feeling gratitude, is in the perfect state of receiving. So then that means then you'll accept, believe, and surrender to the thoughts equal to the emotional state of gratitude. If you're living in resentment, you're living in fear, you're living in impatience, you could say, I'm healthy, I'm healthy, I'm healthy, I'm wealthy, I'm wealthy, and with all you want, and that thought's going to stop right at the brainstem and never make its way to the body, because the body's
not feeling, or because why?
Because you're feeling resentment, and that thought is not consistent with the emotion of resentment. Resentment has a different set of thoughts, right? In other words, once you start opening your heart, it begins to move into coherence. It begins to produce a measurable magnetic field up to 3 meters wide. Now that's frequency, that's energy. And all that energy, that frequency, carries information, carries an intent. So then when you're feeling gratitude and your heart is open, you're broadcasting energy into the field.
A frequency.
A frequency. You lay the intent of the thought of your health or your wealth. That frequency can carry the thought of your wealth. It can carry the thought of your health. If you're suffering, the suffering does not carry, that energy does not carry the thought of your wealth. It carries a different set of thoughts. So then we're teaching people how to self-regulate, because if you're going to believe in that future that you're imagining with all of your heart, it better be open and activated.
Right.
And you better know how to self-regulate. And you have to know the moment you disconnect from the energy of your future because of some circumstance in your life and you lose that feeling, if you're practicing it on a daily basis with your eyes closed, then the next level is to be able to open your eyes and do it right in the moment and be able to self-regulate and change the frustration from some experience in your life back to the energy of your future. Now, that requires great awareness and great effort. But if you have a community of people that are practicing this on a daily basis and they're connected to their future, because that's where their mind is, they begin to want the future more than the emotions of the past. So we've done enough measurements now, Louis, to know that we can teach people how to do that. And we have evidence that people can sustain it for 45 minutes to an hour. It's a skill now. They know that they know how to do it. So now they have brain coherence and heart coherence. Well, once the heart begins to become orderly and coherent, it acts as an amplifier and it drives energy to the brain. So now the brain is getting more energy once the heart is open, and then you're thinking a different set of thoughts. And those thoughts produce different chemicals for you to feel more of that. And here comes nitric oxide from oxytocin, and then all of a sudden your heart literally starts to swell. It literally begins to open up, and there's more energy going there, and now you're coming from a different level of mind.